محروقة، أرضي حرية مسروقة.
Welcome back, dear viewers. Thank you for staying with us. Ambassador Al-Miligy, the day after, to reach the day after, we first have to get past the terrible humanitarian situation Gaza and is facing and the Palestinians are facing. There's also a question I want to pose personally about the day after. What does Israel really think the decades after will look like when this is happening? When generations, very young generations of Palestinians, Arabs, Muslims are seeing what's happening. What does Israel really think is going to happen in 10, 20, 30 years? I mean, does it really believe that it can, eradicate Palestine and then go to South Lebanon and then take a walk in Jordan? And what does it really think, Israel? What is it thinking about?
Well, let me tell you something. They are betting on the time. I mean, how many millions were killed when the Westerners, in general, occupied America? How many Indians, Red Indians as we call them, or Native American as they like to call themselves, were killed? Where are they today? Okay, this is maybe why they are supporting Israel, because they see a young version of how the United States with all its might were built. They were built on this genocide. It's a fact, it's history, and it's documented. And the idea of Israel today, they are thinking that they can reach the same level. Of course, the Palestinian is not uprooted. They are among their brothers and sisters in the Arab world, and this is why it's going to be much more difficult to eradicate the Palestinians as it was with the Native American. But let me talk about a few points about the day after.
Please.
The day after here, first of all, we have, I think we've all seen today that Algeria have presented, as the Arab member of the Security Council, they presented today a motion wanting to speed up the process. And I heard, and some of my friends asked me about this will not lead to anything because actually the American will use the veto right, as they always do. And I want to actually explain this to our viewers, that the United States cannot use the veto right, because here it is not about a decision of the Security Council. It is already ruled by the International Court of Justice. So they cannot just take it back. It's how to execute it. That is what they are going to negotiate at the Security Council. No country have the right to eliminate this.
Which resolution are we talking about?
I'm talking about the ICG.
Yeah,
ICG.
which?
The six temporary measurements that they ordered Israel to follow, and that they will have to present within a month from the date of the six resolutions. The steps taken by the Israeli government officials to not to go into the genocide phase and not to incite to genocide and so on. They have to present a legal document stating
what steps did they take to prevent that?
They undertake to, in order to prevent Palestinians to be subject to genocide. And the idea here is very important, that the United States cannot use a veto, because it's not about a ruling of the Security Council. The ruling is already out there from the International Court of Justice. It's the implementation that we are going to talk about. And this might be the first step into
reaching the
day after. The second step is the initiatives that is led by Egypt,
Qatar,
and other countries into facilitating. We spoke about it in the beginning of your show. So now we are at the day after. I think the most important thing is that we cannot accept until there is a Palestinian state. Nobody has the right to eliminate the Palestinian resistance. It will stay. You are calling it terrorist organizations. All right, well, we will accept your terminology, but this comes with the occupation. I mean, if you want to dismantle these organizations and for them to cease to exist, you have to create a Palestinian state or to let a Palestinian state be created. Let me remind you of many of the Israeli officials who were members in terrorist organizations during their period of independence, as we call it, or as they call it.
Yes.
The 1948 independence.
Right.
Many of them,
Of course.
including prime ministers
Right.
who served
Right.
in Israel, were members of terrorist organizations, recognized by the whole world as terrorist organizations. So people who might be called today terrorists, tomorrow can be leaders of their nations. Okay, so the idea, this is a temporary phase, the resistance phase. The resistance will end once
When
the occupation will end. And we are hoping that Israel would understand that it's in its own interest
It is.
to establish peace.
It is.
Well, actually,
Yeah,
they do not realize that.
That's why my question really is, do Israelis really believe? Because all of what they do and what they say leads to that. They want to force Palestinians out from Gaza to Egypt, force those from the West Bank to Jordan. They want to take over. Do they really believe they can get rid of like
Yes.
millions of Palestinians and then millions of Arabs here and there? Do they really think they can do it?
I would be joking if I say no. Yes, they do believe in that. Remember at the beginning of the peace process when they said, who said land for peace? Who said peace for peace? It's not land for peace. This was one of the mottos of the Israeli officials at the time. Peace for peace and not land for peace. And this is what we rejected and what were originally actually stated by the Saudis when they proposed their own initiatives that were later on adopted by the Arab League and called the Arab Initiative, which is land for peace.
So when this is the Israeli view, what does this leave Palestinians with? Or the future Arab generations, not just the Palestinians? That's what I'm just thinking. What does it leave them with? This was going to be a great animosity, great hatred towards Israel.
Exactly.
And it's going to create hell for Israel.
But let me tell you something. Israel has many friends. I mean, what we've seen recently with the UNRWA shows that Israel still have friends, although the resolutions or the orders of the International Court of Justice. These countries still believe in Israel and still believe that Israel is a good country. They don't see it as an aggressor or
committing genocide,
colonialist, or a country that's committing war crimes in any sort, and they are still supporting it. Maybe they see in Israel something that represent their colonialist past. Maybe they see that this is how we started in other countries like the Americans, for instance, or anything. But let me tell you something. I think it's time also to call for a real solidarity with the Palestinians. And I'm talking here about the people who are supporting Israel. Egypt is doing its part and is doing its utmost. And actually, no country has presented what Egypt has presented. But I am counting on the rest of the Arab world. I mean, now we have a vacuum in the activities of the UNRWA because of going to be the lack of resources. I hope that some other countries, especially from the Arab nation, can help out with filling this void with Arab money. This is where it's supposed to be spent. Those Palestinians needs you today. And we should not always count. I mean, if you are counting on the West to help with the financing of the activities of UNRWA, and then you are counting on them to help with the peace process and to convince Israel with being more committed to peace, then what is our role in general as Arabs? So I am expecting here at least this void has to be filled with Arab efforts and all the peace-loving people who wants to help Israel, not just to see an accusation and this is enough for them to suspend their activities with the UNRWA or suspend their contribution. This is totally a collective punishment to 2.3 million of Palestinians.
One of the best things, yes, I heard, I'm sorry, Mr. Basel, we have to close it and we have to leave, but one of the best things I've heard, I don't even remember who said it, but it was a trivia question. Name one war crime that Israel did not commit. Dear viewers, unfortunately, that's all the time we have here. On behalf of you, we thank very much His Excellency Ambassador Medhat Al-Miligy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you for having me.
Hope to see you again. And dear viewers, thank you for watching the Daily Debate. This is Mohammed Abdul Rahim, and this is goodbye.